Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taj. On this channel we talk about esthetician stuff, and I do a little bit of other videos which you can check on my channel up here. I decided to come back with an esthetician talk because it's been a while since we've had one of those, and because we might be opening up the province again. A lot of us will be going back to work in that capacity or in that space. So I did get some questions on some videos, my previous videos, like how to become an esthetician, things like that. So I thought I would kind of maybe dive in a little bit differently, or just to kind of refresh some things, because that video is a little bit older now, it's a few months old, so why not just do something else? So let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about the different types of schooling, the different types of certificates, diplomas, and or degrees that you can have in order to enter the aesthetics field. Aesthetics field, beauty field, whatever you want to call it. So if you're interested in this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, so you're interested in the aesthetics world. You might have some interests, you might have a hobby in it already, or you might have friends or family, or you often go to the salon and you're just intrigued fully by the entire industry. But you're not sure how to enter, or you're not sure which steps to take to get there, or what steps are best for you. So I'm going to try to break it down. I want to say that I'm going to keep this specific to Canada, and more specifically to Ontario, because I'm based in Ontario. Most of my knowledge and experience is in Ontario. That's where I did most of my research. I don't want to give false information out there because I only know a few things on the other provinces. But I also want to encourage you to do your own research, because if you're interested in something, you should always take that initiative to try to learn more. And I'm pretty sure there's more channels out there on YouTube. I'm not sure if they're Canadian based, but they could be. But yeah, just want you guys to have a full understanding and kind of do that next step research for yourself, because I only know what I know, and I'm giving that information to you as best as I can. Okay, so you have an interest in getting into aesthetics. Maybe you want to do it on an ad hoc basis. You want to do it part-time, you want to do it freelance, you want to do it maybe full-time. You're not sure if you want to do it at home. You're not sure if you want to work for somebody else, or how you can work for somebody else. And you may want to do certain things, but you're not sure how. So I'm going to break it down for you. There's different categories of the aesthetics world, and that's beauty, makeup, hairstyling, there's laser, there's body, and there's different avenues where you can get to work in those fields. So let's just start by stating, in Canada, or in Ontario specifically, there is no regulatory body for estheticians. So if you wanted to really just start doing aesthetics, start doing waxing, start doing lashes and everything like that, you don't really have a regulatory body or requirement to get certified. And that might seem a little scary, but at the same time, it's not, because it does really allow for the flexibility and for people to do what they want to do in this space. So with that being said, yes, there is no regulations and there's no requirement for you to have certification. However, if you want to work for somebody, they do expect you to have education and certifications in certain places. And if you're doing this on your own, you want to have that knowledge and that background to give yourself the experience, and for client peace of mind, because clients tend to only like people who have gone to a schooling or have had the training or anything like that. Another thing is, you always want to double check with your public health regulations. So if you're in Ontario, and depending on where you are in Ontario, you want to look up the public health regulations just so that you know that you're adhering to those properly. Everywhere is different, but it's good to cover your bases. And another thing is, when you start to do these things, if you're working for yourself, it may be conducive for you to get insurance, because equipment is pretty expensive and you're working on people's bodies, so it might just be beneficial to have some insurance for yourself. Oftentimes, if you do work for somebody else, they have insurance built into their organization or their shop, and they're usually covering you, so you don't really have to worry about it if you choose to work for somebody else. So the beauty about this is that you can work full-time, part-time, ad hoc, freelance, just like I mentioned previously. You can do this virtually, that is being if you're training or you're doing any consultations, or you can do this in person, which most of us are obviously doing this in person. Okay. So there's different streams. You can start with a certificate and move on into the diploma. You can do the diploma right away, and at times you might need a degree. And I'll explain those as I go along. So certificate programs are that kind of like bread and butter. Most of these programs are certificate based. A lot of the more advanced things or the more comprehensive things are in diplomas, and some things that are, you know, way beyond the scope into something else are degrees. So certificates can be anywhere between, I would say, 2 months, could be even a weekend, can be 3 months, or even 12 months, or 12 weeks, sorry. It really does depend. You can also do certificates at an institution, so at a school, a college. You can do them when they're offered by estheticians themselves, or say a lash tech or a nail tech or anything like that. Those are typically certificate based. Of course, if you want to do a diploma, those are also only typically provided by schools, colleges, institutions, things like that, and degrees are obviously universities or even colleges. So you're wondering what you want to do. So you may have only a specific interest in certain areas. So specific interest in certain areas would be, you want to be a lash tech, meaning you want to do lash lift and tints, you want to do lash extensions, you want to be a brow artist. A brow artist is somebody who specializes in the brows, so brow shaping, threading, henna, brow waxing, even the brow lamination, so the brow lift, which is typically something that people like to do at home, which is soap brows. But for a more elevated steps, people will actually go to someone to do brow lamination. And also in that, I will put microblading, because microblading is kind of specific to brows, so if you want to be a brow artist, that would include that as well. Then we have waxing specialists. So a waxing specialist is someone who works solely on waxing, and they specialize within, you know, sugar wax, hard wax, soft wax, strip wax, it depends. Then you have body contouring. So body contouring is pretty popular at the moment. So there is that wood therapy, where people use like wood applications to use on your body to kind of get out the lymphatic drainage and everything like that. They have machines. Some people do like that sauna sweat thing. They put you in a bag and it kind of like sweats out the toxins in your body. Some people who focus on the body do a lot of non-RMT massages, so a lot of therapeutic massages. And then we have nail technicians. Nail technicians are people who focus in manicures, oftentimes pedicures, gel overlays, and acrylics. Those are usually add-ons to your certificate or even your diploma. And then we have And you don't have to do all of these things within these things. Say you just wanted to do lash lift and tint, that's all you could do. Say you just want to do pedicures, that's really all you have to do, but you will have to go to school to become a nail technician, or you have to take training in nail technicians. So there's that, and I hope I'm not missing anything. Oh, I am. Another one is a laser technician. So a laser technician is in the name. You're using a laser to kind of remove the hair. Oftentimes, some people are getting training in scar removal with a laser and tattoo removal with a laser. Then we have other things like makeup artistry and hairstyling. Hairstyling is completely different. You would have to do all the research you can on hairstyling because I know nothing about it. Makeup artistry is usually a certificate, and usually it's around the same time frame depending on who you go to. And actually you can do that freelance. You really don't even need to go to school. It's just like an additional, you know, when you want to learn more than what you already know. And finally, I'm a skincare specialist. So a skincare specialist is someone who just deals with the skin. So that's facials, scarring, chemical peels, anything like that. And then you have those who are more into the holistic approach. So they do holistics and Ayurveda, which is a more holistic approach using more so therapeutic methodologies, more so using the hands, really focus on the ingredients and the products that they're using, and not so much using any chemicals or certain like tools. The tools are very specific when you're in holistic aesthetics. So that's a basis. Those are typically certificate programs. And again, you can do certificate programs at usually any institution, and I'll try and list the institutions here. And you can also do any of these certificate programs with anybody who is already an esthetician or a lash tech or a nail tech or a skin therapist. They usually try to have training programs where you can learn from them, learn their techniques or learn the basis, and you can gain the ability to do it on other people. So if you weren't someone who could leave your full-time job and you're looking something more flexible, I would say start with a certificate, because certificates give you that flexibility, and it also kind of gives you that entryway into the aesthetics world, and you can make a lot of money if you're doing this on the side with just learning after, you know, maybe a weekend or a few weeks. So I would say that's really beneficial. And a lot of institutions such as the Canadian Beauty Institute, International Beauty Institute, and there's a few others, I'll try to post them here as well, that can help you get to where you want to be. Now, say you don't know where you want to go or where you want to start in, you want to just have everything, you want a broad, more comprehensive idea of what to do if anyone's to come to you, and maybe you want to work with somebody or in a shop rather than just working on your own. So I would say that your best bet would be to enter an aesthetics program or a medical aesthetics program at a college or an institution. So what's this? This is going to give you basically a broad understanding of each thing. So if you're in aesthetics, you're typically going to learn skincare, so facials and stuff, which would include chemical peels, microdermabrasion, all that good stuff. You would typically learn nails and manicures, so you're going to learn manicures, pedicures, probably gel overlay, not so much acrylics. That's something that you'd have to do additionally with someone who's already doing acrylics, or you'd learn on your own. You'd also learn body treatments. So this isn't generally body contouring, but what the body treatments are is like body scrubs, maybe non-RMT massages, things like that. And that's typically what you would learn as an esthetician. And in some cases, you might even learn laser, but it just depends on the program and the school and the institution. Now, if you want to be a medical esthetician, that's a little bit more advanced. You're definitely going to learn how to use a laser. They kind of go more in depth with that. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think if you want to do medical esthetician, you're definitely going to learn laser. And you can have an advanced medical esthetician program or just a regular medical esthetician program. Advanced is just, it's likely just an accelerated program. And then, if you really are keen, you can actually go into a degree program to become a nurse. And actually, let me not say you have to have a degree, but let me just speak on this. If you want to be a nurse and say you want to get into cosmetics, you want to get into aesthetics, so you want to be, what do you call them? I think they call them aesthetic nurses, or I'm not sure the titles, but you want to work in that field. I'm sorry, registered nurse. And then if you really wanted to, I think you can do a diploma program to be an RPN. And then you just have to take additional courses to learn medical aesthetics for nurses. And I think it's maybe like 1 or maybe 2 or 3 courses within that certification program, which is only offered through colleges. And you would learn how to administer Botox, probably fillers, and I think PVP. So that kind of gives you a little bit more options. First of all, you're going to be a nurse, so you have the ability to work wherever you want, and then you're doing it more tailored towards aesthetics, so you have the ability to actually administer Botox, which is pretty cool because you could just work at a salon and just administer Botox. And oftentimes, those nurses do other things. They'll actually end up doing like facials, they'll end up doing laser and other things like that. So if you wanted, you know, a more broader education term and you wanted to really focus somewhere specific, I would say nursing would be for you. If you just like to work for somebody else, or you want to work for yourself, but you want to do all of the things without administering Botox, I would say medical esthetician would be for you. And if say you want to be a little bit more niche, a little bit more specific, you don't want to spend too much money, I would say start with the certificates. So I'll give you a breakdown of the money. I don't really know all or what everyone's charging. If you're going with a college, you're typically going to be spending on a certificate program. Each certificate is probably like $1,000 to maybe $2,000. If you're going with someone who's an esthetician or a nail tech and they have their own training program, they can charge whichever they like. And you just gotta choose who you want to go to. If you want to do a diploma program, diplomas are a little bit more expensive. They typically run you, I would say, $5,000 to $10,000, maybe even $12,000 for the diploma. And typically in a diploma you get a practicum, or you get more hands-on experience. So that's probably where all the cost goes. Plus it's usually at a college or an institution, and it's full-time more so. They rarely will have a part-time program, but don't quote me on that. And then again, if you want to do nursing, well, that's probably going to be like, I don't even know, 30 to 50K at a university. At a college, you'll probably be maybe 20 grand, maybe. So that's usually the pricing range that you're going to start to have that education. If you wanted to do a lower cost, definitely start with the certificate program. And what you could do is you could go with the certificate program at an institution, say the Canadian Beauty Institute or the International Beauty Institute, and start with their certificates. Usually their certificates can be added into the comprehensive diploma of aesthetics, and you can just do it. one by one by one, right? So those are all the options for you. I hope that is a good breakdown, and it kind of gives you an idea of what you can do, or maybe what you want to start doing. I will say though, if you're doing any of these things, you can obviously work for yourself. There are nurses that do work for themselves, or medical aesthetics, estheticians, regular estheticians that do work for themselves, lash techs, nail techs, all that kind of thing that do work for themselves. You want to make sure you have insurance, adhere to your public health guidelines, and really trying to develop like a business plan, because eventually if you want it to be full-time, you want to know what you're getting into. If you're just doing this freelance, ad hoc, part-time, whenever you want, then, you know, take it as it goes. Another thing is, if you do want to work for somebody, now they'll typically want you to have a certification or a diploma. So you have to really, before you get into any of these things, kind of know where you want to go. Working for somebody obviously is less overhead. It has its pros and its cons, and you have to, you know, understand what's best for you. So just make sure you double check all of those things, because you don't really want to spend a certain amount of money and then you end up wanting to go into a program and you have to start from scratch. I mean, it's not generally a bad thing, but, you know, just kind of think about these things before you kind of just jump into them. And think about the costs as well, because it is a costly industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it gets that way because there's lots of people who want to be involved, and the products, the tools, and the trainings are costly. And I wouldn't say that just because you did a nail tech, I'm gonna pick on nail techs, just because you became a nail tech, maybe you did it by learning. You learned on your own and you started doing it with other people and you got really good. Eventually you'll start taking other courses by other nail techs, or maybe in a school, just to kind of learn more information. As long as we all want to learn, the whole industry is about continual learning, and the more you learn, the more you know, the better you are at your craft. So take that all into consideration when you are looking to see what to get into. Well, I hope this was helpful. I try to break it down as much as I can. I'm going to try and put, if I have good editing skills, I'm going to try and put things here, kind of like write it down and give you like a nicer breakdown of everything, or maybe I'll put it in the description box below. But if you do have any questions, you can always give me a message. You can comment below and I will respond to my best ability. Have a good day. See you on the next video.